Long ago, there was the Majin Buu saga. Goku and Vegeta and the gang did their best until it culminated with the spirit-bombing Buu debacle. Then, the story was over and that seemed to be it. I mean, it was it.
Hold on a second, what about GT?
No! Never GT! But yes, the story was over and that seemed to be it. Until it wasn't anymore! All of a sudden, BAM! 2015, new Dragon Ball Z, bitches! Life was once again whole. It had been 18 years since its creator, the beautiful and talented Akira Toriyama, had written DBZ, and he was back. And everyone in the world had frontal pleasure accidents in their pants at the same time. Dragon Ball Super brought back everything we loved and more, minus the animation and a few other things one could argue. But now, once again, it's over. After 3 years and 131 episodes later, the final chapter has come to a close. But, is there something we missed? The Tournament of Power is epic and all. I won't be giving any spoilers about it, not in this video at least, because if we're being honest, I haven't seen the finale yet. What? I'm making a video called Dragon Ball Super, the story you never knew, and I haven't seen the finale yet?
What? You didn't even have me, oh my god!
I know, I'm terrible. That being said, there will be a spoiler regarding the beginning of the Tournament of Power. Nothing too crazy though. Is that okay? Great! Today we're looking at the universe of Dragon Ball Super itself, not so much the story. Also, shameless plug, if you want to watch me play video games at 3 p.m. Pacific time, just go to twitch.tv/Treesicle and I'll be there. Back to it! Sure, Goku's journey into new paradigms of power is gonna be talked about, but really we're focusing on the metaphysics of Dragon Ball Super, the cosmic game its universe plays across time and space to produce the series of events we call existence. Also, I'm down to not give spoilers because the finale just happened like 1.5 weeks ago and hasn't even happened in the dub yet. Not even close! So here we are, talking about the Dragon Ball Super universe. A place where if you train hard enough, you can fly and shoot energy beams and shit. Jiminy Cricket, tell me more! Are you curious what it all means? You wanna know why the atoms of the mortal plane tick-tock as they do? You wanna know the philosophy and habits which drive the essence of existence itself in the Dragon Ball universe? Then put on your Super Saiyan Trunk Silk Hawaiian shirt, strap a scouter to your face, then take it off because they don't use those things anymore, and prepare yourself for a story on a scale that dwarfs galaxies, for a child whose playing molds all of creation, for the story of Dragon Ball Super, the story you never knew.
Oh my god!
Dragon Ball Super is great, but now there's no more time for hyperbole, so let's stop messing around and get straight to it. We have work to do, and that intro was like 3 minutes, so I'm just gonna say it now. Zenosama is someone I've wanted to talk about since his introduction. Zenosama, Grand Zeno, the Omni King, Lord of everything, and all-around cutie McCutie face is really the focal point for everything you'd want to know about the behind-the-scenes workings of the universe. He is the creator of all things, and so if you want to know why anything happens, you need look no further than the man-child god who set all series of events in motion. Zenosama is a character of wide debate in the DB fandom. A lot of people hate him, but I encourage you to hear me out, because I think he's one of the coolest things to hit the show since we found out Goku was a space alien.
I'm from outer space? Yes.
Like I said earlier, Zenosama is the god of gods, literally the king of all in the Dragon Ball multiverse. That's a big deal. We're talking god here, a singular entity that rules over all of flip-flap and everything. But how do lowly worms like ourselves even begin to fathom that kind of power? Well, it's actually pretty easy, but you're just gonna have to keep watching to find out. Certainly a clue can be found within Zenosama's nature. What is it about him that qualifies him for his role as the cosmic boss man? From his introduction, we see he's a weird-looking diminutive thing. When he talks, he has the voice of a young child. if you think about it, we never really see him do much. For someone with his level of power and control, you would think he would not only be busy, but be so busy he would have to exist outside of time and space in order to do a quintillion things at once. A universe is so massive, so many things are happening at the same time, it is literally beyond impossible for a consciousness to fathom even a fraction of what's going on. Zenosama is in charge of 12 of them, yet somehow still has time to hold a conversation with Goku? It doesn't make a lot of sense. He has power, we've seen that, and it's undeniable. He can blink entire universes out of existence, travel through time when he wants, he's immortal, but what does he actually do? The only thing we know is that back when there was 18 universes, he had a bad day and got rid of 6 of them. He created everything, but those he created fear him or simply have no idea he exists. It has always been like this. I mean, it'd be hard to reveal himself to someone. Just the realization that something like Zenosama exists is mind-melting. Here is a creature that could make, then demake you in an instant. Fabricate and control every thought in your head. Because of his existence, you could not reasonably trust your own mind, or even the fabric of reality, because of his complete control over it. All laws of physics, or any laws of science in general, go pretty much out the window simply because Zenosama exists. Because Zeno, as the creator of it all, exists outside of it all. When we look at his character, we see what appears to be a simple child. And again, he doesn't do much. He likes to watch. And besides his bad day that one time, and of course that stomping of Zamasu, all he ever seems to do is watch. Or chill, or complain about how boring everything is. From the perspective of a Westerner, you would expect the ruler of the universe to be a rather stern, real stick-up-the-butt type. He has a lot of important stuff on that never-ending itinerary. A real do-it-or-I'll-spank-you kind of guy. I'm sure the nuns at your Catholic school will tell you all about it. However, Zenosama is reactionary, not so much a go-getter. He has the power to oversee everything, but really he spends his time hanging out. He lets the angels take care of the stuff that they find important. Otherwise, he seems not to care. He only seems to do something when he gets bored or is stimulated, like when Goku enters his life. Zenosama is fascinated by Goku. Here's a guy that didn't even give the deeper implications of a supreme overlord a second thought. The very first being who just went, huh, stretched out his hand and called the supreme ruler of the universe, the king of kings and god of gods, Zen-chan, or Zenny in the dub. It's possible that Zenosama doesn't understand respect, simply because he never had to respect anything or anyone. It's also possible he doesn't even know what respect is, or why people call him Sama. But when Goku shows up and starts treating Zeno like a friend, he is immediately smitten. Now that might not seem like a big deal to someone who isn't familiar with Japanese, or maybe you don't know what Goku's language implies. But the Japanese are known for being one of the most polite peoples on the planet. That being said, they don't really have what Romance language speakers consider swear words. For example, one of the rudest things you can say to someone in Japanese literally translates to despicable person. The language uses a system of honorifics, which are used to speak to people in the correct way. Dismissing honorifics can make you come off like a complete asshole, especially when talking to someone considered a Sama, which is a more extreme honorific and is used specifically to show high esteem of another. To take that and drop it to Chan, which is a pet name kind of honorific used for children or lovers, is basically like walking up to the king of the universe and saying, "Yo, what's up, homie?" Yet when Goku does just that, Zeno doesn't get mad. He gets interested. Something different happened. What does he care how someone talks to him as long as it's fun? And this is where we reach the core concept of the King of Kings, the true blue nature of the creator of all things, and perhaps even the message of Dragon Ball Super itself. No doubt, Zeno embodies a nonchalant attitude, and wouldn't you know it, the main character of the show does too! We just touched on how Goku has no concept of respect or formality, and that's tied into him never accepting responsibility or even that his actions have consequences. It's why he calls Zeno whatever the hell he wants. Even when Goku learns that the Tournament of Power will end with the obliteration of every lower universe but the victor, he doesn't really seem to care. He's just excited at the thought of all the fun he'll have fighting the multiverse universe's strongest. Indeed, Goku and Zenosama are two peas in a pod. Isn't it fitting that Dragon Ball Super would give the god of gods and the main character the exact same personality? Surely this is no coincidence. And if we're to really understand Dragon Ball Super, what it's trying to tell us, we can't overlook this similarity between him and the Omni King. Because when you really think it through, it's as though Goku embodies the purpose of being itself. Sure, that sounds pretentious and stupid, but hear me out. Goku's attitude is exactly like Zeno's, and Zeno can manipulate the universe at will. He essentially is the universe. He's just a physical manifestation of it. Possibly just something we can comprehend on a basic level. 2 legs, eyes, a mouth, a couple arms. It's possible what we know him to be isn't even his true form. However, his attitude brings us right back around to the purpose of this video. If you haven't put it together yet, Zenosama has a lot to do with Zen. I won't get too deep into Zen, but if you watched Earthbound, the story you never knew, you'll recall that the point of it and many sects of Buddhism is to return oneself to a childlike state of mind. That feeling where experience is rich and the only thing that really matters is whatever is happening right now. A state where meaning spills out of the moment. Children understand this without realizing it, and many adults pretend to or say it's stupid while they sip coffee in traffic driving to a shitty job they hate. You may be saying to yourself that you do live within the moment. Obviously, you're here witnessing this video in front of you, hearing my voice, seeing this butt on screen. I won't make any assumptions about how lost in the experience of this video you were, because that would be a silly thing to do. But let me just say there's a difference between what most everyone experiences most of the time and truly living in the moment. Right now, you're probably thinking, you're digesting what I'm saying, using your brain to file it away for later use, or to simply throw it out and never think about it again. But you're too late already. You're remembering what you just experienced by thinking about it, rather than simply letting it happen. It's incredibly hard to explain, but I invite you to chew on what I just said and come up with your own conclusions. Mostly, the main goal of Zen is to reach what can best be described as a childlike state, minus the naivete. A state of pure experience without bias, without thoughts of the past or future, simply going with the flow and drawing from personal experience and knowledge with an effortless intuition. Such is the mindset of Zenosama, the physical embodiment of the multiverse itself. And really, could we have it any other way? How would you feel being the almighty god of gods? At first, you'll likely say, that sounds awesome, amazing, incredible, I can have anything I want. But think about it. What would it be like to exist for eternity? Even after the last star flickers out, Zenosama won't have aged a second. Would you be cool living like that? Forever? Most people's meaning in life is found by scrambling towards a goal, a life's purpose. Maybe it's a career, maybe it's family, a cause. It doesn't really matter. The point is that purpose is something every human strives for. Basking in laziness or working with discipline is up to the individual, but purpose is always the goal of any human. Yet living a life that feels valuable is no easy feat. If you've ever doubted yourself once or twice or 100 billion times, then you'll understand the challenge of living a meaningful life. This is a challenge you'll have the pleasure or displeasure of participating in for the next 100 or so years at most. Do you think you could keep it up for 200 years? 500? 1,000? A million? A billion? How about 500 trillion? Could you walk the walk of existence forever? Could you really? As the god of gods, with no barrier between your desires and what happens next, it certainly seems more awesome than the mundane task of being mortal. But what of that purpose? Everything you could ever need or want is just a matter of flexing your intentions. You have nothing left to chase, yet life will go on and on. And if your mind and body had no limits, like Zenosama, what would your life look like today? Tomorrow? Next week? After the life and death of multiple multiverses? Yeah, shit might get kind of weird. Weird and bad even! If yours or my imperfect personality were given a limitless mind and body, it would multiply said imperfections by infinite time and infinite possibilities. You could say that creation itself could quickly become a volatile fluctuation between heaven and hell, if not a nauseating spiral towards one or the other. Because what's to stop your bad mood or your good mood from affecting all there ever was? And so the Dragon Ball universe is an aeon's worth of events set in motion by a wise child, a being whose focus on the moment allows for existence across eternity to be what we see before us, rather than a chaotic longing for purpose at every corner of everything. Sure, he once obliterated 6 universes because he was having a bad day, but given the same responsibility, you sure as hell wouldn't do any better. Thanks to his mindset, Zeno's position in eternity is not a burden, it just is what it is, and it's better that way. A wise philosopher from long ago named Heraclitus once wrote, "The Aeon is a child at play with colored balls." When we look at Zeno, the child behind the Aeon is easily understood. But what of his similarity to Goku? While Goku's refusal to accept responsibility can be frustrating, there is wisdom behind the man-child. The same wisdom in the God of Gods himself. An effortless understanding that the atoms of everything resonate with the mind song of a child who never lost his innocence. And Goku is along for the ride. That's the story of the Dragon Ball universe. The story of Dragon Ball Super. The story you never knew. And that's my take on Dragon Ball Super. I hope it blew your mind and melted your brain. However, you know what else is mind-blowing? Free headphones and microphones! We've partnered up with Blue Microphones to give away your choice of a Lola headset or a Yeti microphone to one of you lucky tree huggers out there. Click the link in the description to enter. You can enter by following our Twitch account, twitch.tv/Treesicle, where I'll be streaming with Ryan, the real truth guy, every weekday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And on stream, we'll be giving away 2 more items to you lucky folks. That's 3 items total. Wow. Yeah, that's all for me today. I hope I see you in the streams. It's fun chatting with you guys, answering questions, and playing video games together. My name's Grant, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, everyone!